This here is a proper camera monster from Vivo with the zoom extender kit that I have. So this adds what looks like almost like a sniper rifle scope onto it. And this is going to extend the zoom by 2.35 times. And the Vivo X200 Ultra without this is an impressive flagship. Of course, its focus being, again, the cameras here. Now, the main camera is where we have a change. It's now 35 millimeters. And the ultra wide has optical image stabilization, and this is using the same sensor as the main camera. Unfortunately, it's not a 1-inch type sensor, but it still is very good, and its strength is probably video, and with the 35 millimeter now with the main camera, gives us a bit of a different look there. Powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite, my version here that Vivo sent out to me has got 1 terabyte of storage and 16 gigabytes of RAM. And in this video, I'll show you what it's all about, the Vivo X200 Ultra. So what do we get with the X200 Ultra included? You'll see that we get a case, which is great. We have our SIM tray tool, and here is our cable. So it's Type A to Type C still, not Type C to Type C charger. We have their 90-watt charging, and that is quick. It's under an hour, and I'll give you the exact time later in this video. This TPU case, as expected, fits the phone perfectly. We've got a bit of a camera bulge there, and it gives it a little bit of a raised lip here to stop this glass from touching any surfaces. And it covers all of the corners, the back. Not a huge amount of padding, but it keeps the thickness under control here at least. And there's a cutout for our touch camera button. And if you want to go a little bit crazy, then you can get this, which is a kit here. So we've got our case. You have the lens filters that you can attach onto this, so you can use ND filters too as well, 6.7 millimeter. You've got this adapter, this bracket that you end up clipping onto the outside. You just need to line up the dots, so it's very similar to that if you've used interchangeable lenses with DSLRs. Clips into place there. You have the grip. Now this grip is going to add some battery capacity. It locks on really nice. This is plastic. The case made out of plastic. It doesn't feel, I wouldn't call this ultra premium. It has a little bit of a cheapish kind of feel to it. Now you have the kickstand built into this. Now it's a little hard to get out, but when you put on the grip, then the kickstand, well, you know, you can't actually use that. And then we have what is called the zoom extender here. And this thing, as you can see, it's pretty big. It's massive. It adds a lot of weight. And for most people, I wouldn't actually recommend getting this unless you need some extreme zoom. So what this is going to do here, it's going to extend the zoom. That's why they call it a zoom extender, and that is by 2.35 times. You also get this here as well, which is a screw-on support bracket for that too, if you did need it. And I'll show you what the whole setup looks like. So you've got the little lens caps here to keep it all looking nice. This is using Zeiss optics, and I just pull them off. That then goes into place like so. Okay, I need to place it. Oh, whoops, I need to spin that again. Okay, it's not actually tricky to do because you need to look at where the dots are. But there we go. That's clipped into place now. And then I'll put this on the phone and show you. And there we go. It's a Frankenstein zoom setup that looks a little bit like a sniper scope sticking out. And you see how much bulk that really does add. Now, the grip is reasonably good. You can hold that. There is a tripod mounting point on it. We've got the Type-C port there for charging the battery within the grip. So it's going to give us extended shooting time to take more photos and snaps, which is great. And okay, how bulky is it? You can see quite a bit. And you've got then your controls here at the top. So you've got the straight into the record button. You can use this and set this for different parameters. So this can be for the exposure, for example, just to tweak that. You can still get access to the touch camera button, and this is a 2-stage button at least, which this is not. So it's good that you can press down on that. You can use this to control then the zoom. So kind of like a normal traditional camera setup there. Let's have a look and see very briefly what it can do with this telephoto extender. Video with our telephoto extender. Now this is at 1150 millimeters zoom here, so that's quite a bit of digital as well as that optical. Not looking so great. That's the maximum that we can zoom in with video. I'll take it to, this is 600 millimeters. That's one of the presets they have here, 400 now, and 200 millimeter. And this is back to the 800 millimeter preset, and then I can just again zoom to that 1150. So that's the max there, and not amazing quality for video, but at least we can do this. 4K 30 or 4K 60. Finally to 200 millimeters, and I'll show you now the main camera. Here it is at 35 millimeters. That's just to give you an idea of how far I did zoom in. The ultra wide here, and 6.7 times zoom. Here are the zoom presets they do give you. So 200 millimeter, 400 millimeter, getting in really close there. 800, the quality's not looking good. And then 1600 millimeters, not really a usable shot, I think. Here is the X200 Ultra right next to the X200 Pro. The Pro is still one of my favorite phones. And if you don't need 35 millimeter for the main camera, and you want 23, which is pretty standard there, and you've got the same zoom camera as well with the Pro, I would still go for the Pro. The Pro is global as well, if you can get your hands on it. This has the MediaTek chipset in it. This one, of course, is Qualcomm, so you've got the Snapdragon 8 the Snapdragon 8 Elite. I'm so used to saying Gen 3. Snapdragon 8 Elite here. You got the Dimensity 9400 with this phone. Very good chipset still as well. And really, the chipset-wise, they're kind of the same, but different ISP, different image processing with them. So ultra-wide is the big upgrade here, really, because this ultra-wide, not so good, but this one here now has optical image stabilization. It's, in fact, the same sensor that we get with this camera, which is the same that's in the X200 Pro, but the X200 Pro has a 23 millimeter lens. They decided this time around to go 35 millimeter. I am a fan of 35 millimeter. I like it for portraits. A lot of people don't particularly like it because they feel that it's too close. You need to step back, but then you've got the brilliant ultra wide for that. And you could, of course, crop in a little bit with the ultra wide, apply some zoom and get like 23 or 28 millimeter equivalent, but you're applying optical and digital then, so the quality won't quite be as good as just going 23 millimeter with this. So the decision really is, when you're looking at both of these phones here, I would say go for the X200 Pro if you must have the 35 mil, because you've got the same zoom camera that's in the Ultra. Okay, the upgraded ultra wide, if you need that, then yeah, again, go for the Ultra model. But remember, this is global. This is not global here. So build quality is excellent, very good. Camera lens module there sticks out a little bit more, and we're looking here at 8.7 millimeters, the thickness of it, and it weighs a hefty 229 grams. I mean, it's okay. The weight is distributed reasonably good. Okay, it's not, I wouldn't say it's ultra top heavy or bottom heavy as well. 6,000 milliamp hour batteries within this, and that is a silicon carbon battery, 90 watt charging with it. Wireless, I believe, is 40 watts off the top of my head. And we have a Type-C port with video out, SIM tray that takes 2 nano SIMs, microphones here, antenna lines, loudspeaker at the top with the port at the top there too as well. 50 megapixel front-facing camera, and a screen that is LTPO Tech 120 Hertz. It's a very nice screen here, this one. And what I like about it is it does support Dolby Vision. You got HDR there as well. Peak is 4500 nits. Indirect sunlight, it is clear. The screen, you can make it out. 6.82 inches, and it is 1440p, well, Quad HD plus resolution. So it's a great screen here. Very good. Bezels, okay, yeah, you can see that there's a bit of a bezel there, and really it's very, very similar to what I have with this one here. You can see they look the same, but because of the silver frame around the outside, it gives that illusion and makes it look just a little bit bigger there, but really it isn't. So it is a great build quality, and we get now the addition of this here too, which is our touch-sensitive camera button. Now, unfortunately, it's not two-stage. I would have preferred that. ZTE's done that with the Nubia Z70 Ultra, I think it was the model that I reviewed, and it was two-stage. So you pushed it in first stage, focus, down again, and you took your photo, but not this one. Now, double tapping it, pressure sensitive, the 2 taps, got to do it quickly, launches the camera, and you can see that I can press, and if I press and hold, it'll go into the burst mode, or just quickly press, and then I can take a photo. It's good. I do like the addition of this. I just wish it was a proper 2-stage button, and it's touch sensitive, so you can use this, well, at the moment it's set up for tweaking the exposure, and I would probably leave it on that because that's the most frequent of the settings that I would probably use myself too, just to tone down that exposure setting there. So there we go. Great build quality to it. And with the silver, with the lines on it, is it textured? No, It isn't. It's a smooth surface, but I think it looks fantastic. Better than the red, better than the black. I think this is the color to go for here. You've got the silver with the white on the back, and then those lines. It looks really good. Now I've got the 1TB version here. It does have 16 gigabytes of RAM. The X200 Ultra does come with OriginOS, so it's not Fun Touch. I prefer OriginOS. I think it's better well optimized, and I really wish they went global with this. Now, App Store, you can enable that. You have your Origin kits, which are pretty handy too, with lots of different things. Some of them are going to be in Chinese, obviously, this being not a global release here at all. You've even got, I like their lens kit, so you can choose and go straight to super macro mode, ultra wide, telephoto, portrait, video, and whatnot. It's a nice little shortcut system, and those little widgets that they do have, their little kits, which you don't get similar kind of things here with their FunTouch OS. No, not as good as what you get with Origin OS here. So it's based off Android 15. The performance is excellent. No lags, no bugs, no problems with it. Android Auto is on board, if you're wondering about that. Google Play Store, I'll talk about that later on, but the framework's already there. You just need to install the APK file through the Vivo App Store is all you need to do for that. You can get it. All my apps are working. Notifications are working. History with Maps is not. That's the only real thing. Wallet, Google Wallet, you can get set up on there too as well. And you can run this phone, I think, outside of China just fine. Not really a problem at all. Now, I have the 1TB version as just mentioned, and this has the satellite network system thing, but this is not going to work outside of China, I believe. It's not going to. So you got the communications, SMS with that, and a professional helpline thing too as well, but I don't see this working outside of China there. And RAM storage, you can allocate some virtual memory to this. It's got 16 gigabytes of virtual memory allocated to as well. You can see RAM 16 plus 16. You can change that if you wanted to, the RAM extension, and even app memory compression. I wouldn't bother with that. It's not really needed. I don't think so. Not with 16 gigabytes. That's ample, very fast UFS 4.1, I think it is, storage on board too with this. So it's really, really snapping quick everything. On first boot of this phone, because obviously it's not a global ROM, we're going to get a lot of Chinese apps on board. There's many of them here you can see. Thankfully, with OriginOS, you can uninstall basically 99% of them. You get rid of those and you are away. Now, going into the Vivo App Store, you can find Google Play and you can install that and then log in. You're up and running. It is that simple. You can go along then and update Android Auto, which I did here too as well. That's already part of the ROM because the way Vivo's got it set up now is for anyone that travels overseas out of China, a lot of their clients have asked for, their customers have asked for Android Auto, and this is why Vivo does put it on board now. Oppo's now doing it, which is good too. So battery life, very good with a 6,000 milliamp hour silicon carbon battery. With this fixed test here, got over 10 hours. It is very good. I'm finding battery life will be for most people, definitely over a day. I can't quite make it myself personally with 2 days. I will need to charge on the second day in the afternoon. Otherwise, it'll probably run out on me. But it's not bad. I mean, for this spec of phone, how fast it is, how bright the screen is, I think it's decent. Good battery life we're getting here. Charge time from when I started at 4% here to 100, 49 minutes only. That's pretty good. Now, the minimum capacity here, it's saying is 5,880 milliamp hours. A bit less than the 6,000. Now, that is standard because this is this is what you call a minimum capacity. Now, the typical will be about 6,000, but it's reporting, even when I charged it, reporting quite a bit less than that. But this figure's not always accurate. This is just the app is estimating that there, so not quite 100% perfect there. So when it comes to the performance with synthetic benchmarks, Antutu version 10.4.8, very good. Just over 2.8 million. Excellent score there. Now, it went up 14.4 degrees, and I can confirm that it does get a little hot around the frame. And also when you shoot a lot of 8K video and a lot of cameras, it gets a little warm, but not as warm as the Oppo Find X8 Ultra, which I found does heat up quite a bit when you're using those cameras non-stop there. Internal storage speed, so UFS 4.1, I think it is very quick. You can see here, really good speeds here, faster than PCIe 3.0 SSDs. amazing speeds there, and it will not slow this phone down. It is a blazing fast, super quick phone here, as expected with that Snapdragon 8 Elite. Here we are in the camera app. I wanted to briefly show you this. So our ultra wide, that's 14 millimeters. If I double tap that, it gives me a 28 millimeter, which is 0.8 times. And that, of course, is using cropping on that sensor, and it's applying a bit of digital zoom. So it's going to degrade the quality doing so. My camera comparison, a lot of people didn't understand why I didn't use 23 millimeter on this. And that is because it doesn't have a native optical 23 millimeter like the other phones did in that camera comparison. So applying either some crop and digital zoom with the ultra wide here would degrade the quality, or if the other phones I set them to 35 millimeter equivalent, they'll be applying quite a bit of digital zoom, and that would degrade their quality, so that's why it wasn't fair. And after all, you get this phone for the 35 millimeter to get a little closer to your subjects. You got a bit, I think, nice looking bokeh. That background blur with 35 mil is quite nice with this camera here, as you see later from the portrait samples. And we have other presets here that they've already selected for us. Now, you can go into our, which is called the street photography mode, if you just tap here, okay? And there's a couple of settings there already. And that's a nice option to have. You have your Zeiss filters and your Zeiss presets and whatnot there too as well. I'll just go back into the normal one. So you've got the Zeiss filters here and different options. Now, I keep it in Zeiss Natural. Most of the time, you've got textured vivid that we have seen before there. And under settings, we can shoot, I'll just go into video here, which is great. With 4K, we still have log there too as well, which is a very handy setting for if you want to grade your own video. Now 8K, this is where things get a little bit weird. They decided to go with the ultra wide for the 8K video, probably for the better field of view versus 35 millimeter. But I would love to see 8K with that 35 mil as well, because when you shoot 4K, you can use all of the cameras and you can go over to the 35 mil with a 4K video, but with 8 you can't. And I think the sensor, it can still do that. So it's just hopefully software they can add that later on. You've got your portrait video. I'll give you samples of all of that now, so you get an idea what to expect out of the X200 Ultra cameras. So over to those X200 Ultra cameras. Front-facing camera, this is 24 millimeters, 50 megapixels, has electronic image stabilization, and you can shoot 4K 60 and 4K 30, which I'm doing right now. There isn't any 8K, but I don't think too many people are going to miss out on that, and I've seen no other phone use that with a front-facing camera. Now the quality, reasonably good. I tested out in my camera comparison. The stability of this, electronic image stabilization, is okay here, but there are other phones that do better. Now the audio quality is fine, it's acceptable, but again, it's not actually the best here, and I do hope that Vivo can improve the microphones and our audio quality is my only real complaint when it comes to the video performance from this phone. Here we are with the rear video. So we do have that 200 megapixel sensor, the zoom one, that we have 3.7 times optical zoom. That's with the X200 Pro. But the ultra wide, which I'm using right now, this is, well, I think one of the first phones that I have used and tested at least, that has optical image stabilization. I know that Vivo did this before. Remember they had that gimbal style kind of ultra wide as well, but here it's got a bit of optical image stabilization, and that means that it's a lot steadier than usual, not just using electronic. So I've just locked the exposure. You can tap and lock for that. This is now our 35 millimeter main camera, and that was me manually focusing just then. So this has the optical and electronic image stabilization. There's a 2.5 times preset, which I'll use now. We'll zoom into the castle of Denio there in the background, and you can see quite steady. But this is mostly digital now. And then a 6.7 times preset, which is using our periscopic zoom camera now, and I can apply some more zoom if I wish to do so. So I'll bring this up to now 10 times. Okay, that's a 10 times zoom, and really going over that, you can see the quality starts to degrade. This is now 13.4 times, and that is where it maxes out. It doesn't want or allow me with video to zoom any more than that, 13.4 times. So 6.7 times preset, the 2.5, and the main camera again, then our ultra wide. Now when you use 8K video, this is going to use the ultra wide and not the 35mm lens. Kind of makes sense to use 8K for the ultra wide. You're going to get a lot more in the shot, then you're not restricted by a more of a narrower field of view. We have the optical image electronic stabilization, so both of them at the same time, optical and electronic. This is portrait video, so we get 4K 30 with the rear cameras. Once you start recording, you can't swap over your camera, that is. So I'm stuck here with the main camera at the moment. It's using continual focus, and I mean the quality is alright, but the stitching is not always perfect, as I have noticed. And this is portrait video with the ultra wide camera. Sophia, can you turn around, say hi? And I think this is probably a little bit better there, but it's annoying that I can't swap over to our main camera or the periscopic. This is 2.5 times preset that we do have, so it looks like I can't even use the periscopic camera with portrait video. What do you think of the quality? Let me know in the comments. Now over to still shots. With the super macro mode, you can get some stunning results here. Bright, vibrant colors here, so much detail. You can see all the fine pollen there with the flowers, and fantastic background blur. Portrait shots look really good, and this time around Vivo, with the beautifying off, is actually disabled. There's no skin smoothing that I can see that's taking place. Skin tones look good, but not quite as good as the Find X8 Ultra, I find. I do like the results I'm seeing from the 35mm, get closer to your subject, and the shutter lag has been good. My daughter here on her scooter, fast moving, didn't produce any blur. Now the zoom shots with that periscopic 3.7 times optical zoom camera look really good. Plenty of detail there. I like the colors using the Zeiss preset, and of animals look good too as well here. This one of snow. The only thing is, if you really push that digital zoom, of course the results are going to look terrible like this. It's using AI to kind of fill in the gaps, and it's a messy shot. I personally wouldn't really go over 10 times zoom. So if you really want to push the zoom, you're going to have to break out that telephoto extender with this shot here at 800mm. Low light performance across all of the cameras has been fantastic. I think it's the best I've seen, a true champion when it comes to low light performance. We have that Zeiss T-Star coating as well, which makes a big difference, cutting down on the reflections, the glare that can sometimes ruin shots. And the ultra wide, this shot right here, the best I've seen when it comes to low light. And even zoom shots in low light perform way better than the competition. Just check out my camera comparison and you'll see plenty more examples of where this phone dominates. Now gaming with the Snapdragon 8 Elite is as expected. It is very good. The performance with Genshin Impact here on the absolute top settings. It doesn't really skip a beat, not in this area of the map either. You do feel the phone get warm. I've noticed that with running synthetic benchmarks like Antutu, that it got quite hot. Using the cameras, it gets quite hot. The Snapdragon 8 Elite, it's a hot chipset. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 was also very hot, and this one is, I think, slightly hotter. The cooling seems to be alright. It's dissipating that heat, which is the main thing. And all those games out there that you do test out, they're going to run really well on our X200 Ultra here. All right, so let me remove that lens, which is, it's a bit ridiculous. It does stick out a huge amount. Now, when you do have the telephoto extender attached, it is going to block the ultra wide in the main camera. So bear that in mind. You need to remove it if you want to use those other cameras. So it's a bit of a pain. And I think for most people, you probably won't be getting the zoom extender. Why did Vivo do this? It's a simple fact of because they can, and they want to show the world that they can create a real zoom monster here with the X200 Ultra. Something a little bit different that the competition doesn't have. Well, there's a couple other brands out there that have been experimenting with add-on lenses. That is true here, but this is one that you can get if you did need that. Now, I feel with this particular model here, it is one of the best Ultra phones that I've tested out for sure. I love the ultra wide performance. It's a big upgrade. 35mm, I like it because I take a lot of portrait photos of my family, and I like to get in a little bit close there, and I think for portrait, 35 is quite good. And then we've got that versatility of having, of course, the zoom camera on there too as well. Portrait modes do look excellent with this. And you've got the Snapdragon 8 Elite, different image processing a little bit from the X200 Pro because that's MediaTek. But I feel for most people, you're probably better off to get the X200 Pro model. You've got the global version of it. You have the same zoom camera as this, the same main sensor as this, but it's 23 millimeters, and this one, of course, is 35. But it's probably the phone to get, even though Vivo probably doesn't want me to say that, but I feel that that would be the phone for most people to get if you can get your hands on it. Not to say that this isn't fantastic. The downside to it is, of course, it's not global. You need to import it. You're going to have some bloatware. You're not going to have Maps recent history. There's a few other little things. But so far, Android Auto is there. Google Play is very easy to install. And every one of my apps is all running just fine on it. And it's got a lot of power. It is a fantastic Ultra phone, probably the best that I've tested so far, the Vivo X200 Ultra. Thanks a lot for watching this video.